Yes, people, we're back. Getting stuck into it straight away. Dylan Oke, Don Davis Boxing Academy, 23-0. An amazing achievement, having beaten top boys to get that accolade. He beat Kola Omo in the development. He beat Yaseen Ramsey across the ring from him here to take his O. Yaseen, the reigning and defending from Islington Boxing Club, also beat Kola Omo last year in the finals, looking to avenge that defeat to Dylan. Coming into this, I thought Dylan was the favourite to win the fight based on his incredible, emphatic wins leading up to this final. So for this one, we're going to do the whole bout. It's not going to be highlights. We'll do the whole 3 rounds, every second of it. So the first 2 rounds are going to be from this angle, and in the third round, we're going to switch to the ringside through the ropes. And I have to say, the fight looks very different depending on how you're looking at it, because the through the ropes kind of ringside is what the judges see, and this is more closer to what the spectators see. And you get to see stuff being ringside that you wouldn't from here. So I have to just make that clear from the onset. On that note, you can hear the crowd cheering with that check left hook. I can say from experience, the majority of check hooks, they don't land with the correct part of the glove. They land with the inside. And this is a good example because we get a better view, slow it down, and you can see clearly that it's the inside of the glove. So although Dylan kind of goes tumbling and the crowd cheer, it looks really good, it doesn't actually score. That punch as well, it actually lands with kind of like the wrist, but I can appreciate, from the fans' perspective, they're cheering on their boxer, and sometimes, punches are hitting the gloves and people are going crazy. Can that influence the judges? I guess so, sometimes, we're all human at the end of the day, so the crowd, if they're being very noisy, then I guess in the back of the judge's head, it can sometimes influence it. Good defense from Yaseen. Noticed that in his last few fights as well. When he's circling out, hands are always up. So he caught a lot of shots on the gloves. Really, really good defense. There you go, another one. Just catching it on the gloves, and of course, if it lands on the gloves, it doesn't score. Dylan, as we expected him to, first round, he's coming in, pressing the action. Yaseen, I wouldn't say entirely on the back foot, he played it smart because he didn't stand in the middle and try to fight, the puncher. Kept it smart, kept it at range, tried to counter punch from the point of view of being competitive. Then yeah, this round, Dylan is the one making the fight. For the majority of it, he's the one initiating. So actually a close round, watching this ringside, I gave it to Dylan, but I thought it was a close round. Not much landed, and what did look like it landed was actually not a scoring shot, like where the check hooks and stuff were concerned. So going into round 2, the end of round 2 is usually where we've seen Dylan having broken down his opponents and then taking them, really into deep waters in the third. So it was going to be interesting to see how Yaseen was going to cope with that. Again, good defense, hands up, and constantly throwing out the jab, just giving Dylan something to think about. Technically speaking, both boxers, they're really good. You can see Dylan there constantly changing it up, giving Yaseen something to think about. Yaseen constantly probing as well, trying to counter, trying to get Dylan to bite on something and then come back with a counter. Again, another check hook. That one actually landed to the back of the head. The reason I'm stressing that is just to point out that what looks, eye-catching to the crowd may not actually be a scoring shot from what the judges are seeing. So Yaseen there with his constant movement and constant countering, just not standing there and trading. I think that was Gabriel's mistake. He really tried to go to war with Dylan. Christian Thomas, he didn't move about enough and he was kind of sitting there to be hit. But with Yaseen, good guard, constantly on the move, constantly probing with the jab and looking to counter. Dylan in this round, he didn't really have that much luck, where we see him in the second really go to work and really land eye-catching shot after shot. This round again, it's quite a close one, when you're looking at scoring shots. Okay, a couple there from Dylan. There wasn't actually that many. This again was, I thought, a close round. So again, the crowd cheered, but that punch, it was hit with the forearm. And that was something that Yaseen did well, closing the range and smothering Dylan's shots, where previously, he's been in perfect range and those punches have really been hitting, and the accumulative damage of them has definitely, shown after the second going into the third. But at the end of the second, Yaseen is in there, he's giving Dylan plenty to think about, and it's not all one way. Again, a close round. I'll go with what I thought watching it ringside, and that round I thought that Yaseen nicked it, so one apiece. Going into this, I did point out that obviously both corners, they were going to be instrumental in this fight and the outcome of it. I think for Dylan, it's kind of like a tricky one because you're 23-0, you've never lost a fight. What you've done, has worked every single time. Your plan A is the winner. Why would you change? Why would you, revert to something else? Whereas with Yaseen, especially having lost to Dylan once already, there's that chance to have a look at, what didn't work and what did and what needs to change. So I thought that was interesting because going into the third, there were times, especially towards the end of the round, where I felt Dylan not necessarily running out of ideas, but he wasn't being effective like he has been previously, but he didn't switch it up to try something different. Good shot there from Yaseen, a good couple. Got the standing count. I know Dylan wasn't happy with that, but they were good shots. And the standing count is to essentially stop a follow-on shot that may, knock the opponent out and knock them down. But those two shots from Yaseen, very clear scoring punches because the punches are also being scored based on their effectiveness. So if you're snapping your opponent's head back like that and you're giving him a standing count because the referee is concerned about the follow-up shot, then obviously that registers with the judges. Certainly a lot more than these half parried shots and jabs that are not fully effective. But you know, Yaseen stormed the weather. We talked about Dylan's fitness and you know how savage he is in the ring, just relentless pressure. But Yaseen really showed how to cope with that just by smart boxing, tying him up in places, but not to the point where it's holding and you're going to get warnings and points deducted. But again, you know, it's a really close round. There wasn't that much in it. So I know in some of the comments, like 1 or 2 people got in there with comments like, you know, Dylan got smoked, or, you know, Yaseen broke him down. I don't think it was that. It's like, you know, Yaseen the chess boxer, but Dylan isn't there playing checkers either. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're both top level operators, and you know, I had it a close first, gave that to Dylan, a close second, gave that to Yaseen, and honestly I thought this was a close third round as well. And probably the difference between them was those 2 great shots from Yaseen that really clearly landed. And in that round, tactically, he also seemed to be dictating the proceedings, kind of like, you know, he was getting Dylan to fight his fight as well. If you were to have the fight again next week, could you confidently say, you know, that Yaseen was going to win again? No, because then, you know, Dylan would have the time to adjust. So I think we need that trilogy, definitely. But deserved winner, Yaseen. He was also fasting and, you know, observing Ramadan. So big respect to both the guys in there. And ultimately, this is what it's all about. You know, the best fighting the best. And that's what we got. So please get in the comments. I'd love to hear your views. And thank you for watching.